We're unmuted, folks.
David
You know.
and
Do it.
recommend
That's
Dennis.
Do we have
I
quorum,
don't know if
Mr.
I
Mayor?
looked at my
Yeah, we-
emails.
All right, well, let's call this meeting to order.
Public hearing first.
Yeah. I was gonna announce that. First portion of the meeting is a public hearing regarding the City of Normandy 2023 property tax rates. And we've gone through all our posting requirements, and I don't see anybody from the public here. This doesn't usually generate a lot of interest. Is there anybody on Zoom from the public that wants to make a comment about our 23 property tax rates? Hearing none, we'll move forward. This closes the public comment portion of the public hearing.
Wait,
Do we need a motion to close the public
I
hearing?
don't believe that we do, but I can do
So-
that just to
so
cover our
moved.
bases.
So moved.
on his way.
There's a
wait,
motion,
wait, so Andy, yeah, there's Andy.
I'll second.
No.
there's a motion to close the public comment portion of the public hearing for
Did
property
we
tax rates.
discuss this?
Is there a second? I believe we have a second.
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll get to that when we read the ordinance portion.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Cleveland.
Here.
Councilman Saxonheimer.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Evans.
Here.
Councilman Nelson. Councilman Hong.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Here,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First order of business, Council Bill 23-24, first and second reading. First reading of Bill number 2324, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri levying its rates of ad valorem taxation and taxable property within the city for the year 2023. Is there a motion to accept the first reading of Bill number 2324?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, and again, we explained this before, Andy explained it to us. This information came out real late, and when it came out, it was wrong. And so the state had to make some corrections, so it's really, really late.
You have to always wait
So-
till last.
County.
Oh, county, I keep saying that, I keep saying it, yeah. So, at any rate, to have the second reading, we'll need a unanimous vote. Is there a motion for the second reading of Bill 23-24?
I was,
are we gonna, so we've discussed it.
yeah, we got it.
We're just, yeah, we will after we get the second.
Yeah, I mean.
Second.
There's a second. We have a first and a second for the second reading of 23-24, an ordinance of the city of Missouri. Roll call vote, please. First and second for the second reading.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer.
Yes.
Councilman Evans.
Yes.
Councilman Hong.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Second reading of 23-24, an ordinance of the city of Missouri, city of Normandy, Missouri, levying its rates of ad valorem taxation on taxable property within the city for the year 2023. Is there a motion to adopt bill number 23-24?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any questions about the tax rate that we're adopting? Comments?
When is the
Yeah.
deadline again? Sorry.
It's like this week. This
So
week.
everything has to be submitted by October 1st.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, so.
It's tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
My understanding is that,
summarize it and,
Yeah, I can tell you from what, and add to that, Sam, if you want. In what I'm reading, the tax rates have gone down a little less than 1% because the assessed values have gone up. But it's not gonna keep up with the rate of inflation. We're still gonna it's still gonna be a money loser for us. It's not actual dollars, but buying power. Is it accurate that we've got about $110,000 from property taxes? Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it's somewhere, the number should be in that pro forma. Of course, that's assuming everyone pays their property tax. But just for those council members who are unfamiliar, this is an annual ordinance that every city in Missouri has to do, and every political subdivision as well. Basically, when the county reassesses property values and they go up, revenues for political subdivisions can only go up so much because of the Missouri Constitution, commonly called the Hancock Amendment portion of the Missouri Constitution. So assessed values went up really, really high in North County this year, Normandy included, and so we have to reduce our rates so that it's no more than 5%. So estimated. So we are reducing our tax rates, but there will be a net gain in revenue of about 5%.
And that net gain in revenue of 5% is battling a 8 to 11% inflation rate.
Right, yeah, and county values don't go up every year, so that 5% is kind of like an increase for the next 2 years. So it's generally a 5% increase every other year. And right now, we're about 100,000, so it's about a $5,000 increase.
So why aren't they addressing the inflation to make it more equitable?
It would require a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, we could keep our values the same, but we'd have to take it to a vote of the people. And so.
So in the future, we may do that, or could choose to do that.
If the council, if it pleases the council, it certainly could. Right now, the maximum levy is 4%, which would be a substantial increase.
Right. And it would place quite a burden on our citizenry, though, homeowners wise, especially for our elder population on a fixed income. So
And probably they wouldn't vote for it.
It'd be
Catch
an uphill,
22.
it'd be an uphill climb.
yeah.
Any other comments? We have a motion and a second to adopt Bill 23-24. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Sexton,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilman Hong,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso,
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Bill number 23-24 is adopted as ordinance number 791. The second reading of Bill number 23-16, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Section 5 of the City of Normandy, Missouri Personnel Policy Manual and establishing a pay plan for employees. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-16?
And this is the second reading.
This is the second reading. The only change that's in here, we had agreed to take the city administration from a G12 to a G13. That was not done. Numbers are just too tight to make that happen. So we did not raise that pay scale on that line item. Is there a motion?
I motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any comments, concerns, questions?
Talk it out.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Sexton,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
No.
Councilman Evans,
No.
Councilman Hong,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso,
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Bill 2316 is adopted as ordinance 791.
792.
I'm sorry.
792.
Yeah, sorry, the ordinance
okay.
numbers on the printout are wrong.
Right. Our bill number 2316 is adopted as ordinance 792. Thank you. Second reading of Bill 23-18, an ordinance of the city of Normandy, Missouri, adopting the fiscal year 2024 budget. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-18?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions?
Can we?
Did we,
This is
eliminate,
the opportunity to discuss it,
Okay.
yes.
Go ahead, Yolanda.
did we, eliminate I hear it, oh, sorry. Did we eliminate the foreman job from the,
No,
Is that the supervisor's job?
I thought that's what they wanted.
we did not.
so that, position will still be filled if we pass this budget?
Yes, it will. And I
So
will
my
tell you,
concern,
oh, go ahead.
my concern about that is that if we're looking at a $500,000 insurance, bill, and then also we're cutting police officers and we're cutting the fat in other places, I don't think like this is fiscally sound to add another position with that salary cost.
Well, we're not adding a position because we're gonna eliminate the temp that is in that position, and that's not cheap either to go through a temp agency. We've never had less than a 4-man crew for public works, so it's
But
not
also
an
with
addition to a position. It is a title that carries a few more dollars in compensation, but
But also with the temp job, you're not paying for health insurance. You're not paying for health insurance and other things that come along with a full-time position.
Well, let me correct the mayor. So traditionally, we've had, well, at some points last year, we had 4 laborers, but going into this, we had 3 laborer positions. Now we will have 2 laborer positions and then a foreman, or supervisor. And so if we were to just change it to 3 laborers, again, that would be about $13,000 in savings. But I would not recommend eliminating the position outright, because then we would be extremely bare bones. That's only a crew of 2 laborers.
And 2 temps then.
Well, no temps.
But right now, there's 2 laborers and 2 temps. In the
Yeah,
last meeting, we were just informed of 2 laborers, but there are 2 temps, there's 2 teams.
Yeah, so we're using the 2 temps to kind of fill the 1 laborer position right now, and actually we're down to 1 temp as of like last week or so. Just because there's some uncertainty about the position, we didn't want to fill it, so that's why we're using the temp agency.
So would that temp be eliminated?
Yes, yeah, there's no part-time or temporary labor in this budget. This is basically 3 people as a full-time crew, and 1 of them is in charge.
And this has been operating on last year's budget because we've had the funds because we haven't had filled positions.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I get,
And I will tell
So
you,
we would have,
this is a working
we would have
position.
Dennis, we would have Dennis, 2 permanent laborers, and a foreman.
Yes,
Right, and again, the supervisor or foreman, whatever you want to call it, they are working, right? They are working, side by side with the laborers. The work output is just as much, perhaps even more. It's just they are on charge on the job site.
I guess I need to reflect back, and I'm just sharing my observations and concerns, is when we were going through the interview process, Dennis, for you, some of the questions were, in regards to skills for foreman, and I remember you saying that you can do those things. And so now we're having 2 people, when I was of the understanding we would be hiring 1 person that was willing to take on those skills. And I just, if, in reflecting back to that, I voted yes for you based on that. And And now it's like, I don't know, if that was, a good
Can I
decision
respond?
Okay, well,
based on,
I'll respond to that, if Dennis wants to respond. I mean,
yeah,
from my experience, you know, Dennis absolutely has the skills and he can continue doing it, but I need him for other things, and he can't be with the crew 24/7. And our 8 hours a day, I guess.
so in the interviewing, what were those other things?
What are the other things?
well, if we can remember, when we were voting on this, I said that we were gonna need a foreman. I strictly said it at the meeting when we voted on the director. And we still voted for the foreman. I mean, we still voted for the director. So, I don't see what the problem is. That's what you wanted.
Well, the problem,
And that's what
the
y'all
problem
voted
is
for,
we
was the
weren't
director.
doing, we didn't have a $500,000 insurance bill staring us down the throat. That was the problem.
We always had problems with money problems. We've been having
We
money
didn't-
problems.
We didn't have a $500,000 insurance bill staring us down the
It
throat.
doesn't matter about
That's
the
the problem.
insurance bill, we got money problems, and I don't see nowhere in any of this that we're saving any money, period. We still got criminal streets, we still got potholes, and we're just hiring people, we're giving raises, and we have not looked at what we can get by with, and where we're gonna save some money. We're not saving any money, we're just spending it, and I'm tired of it. We need to look
So-
out for the people, and we're not looking out for the people by just continuously spending money.
So then.
So Sam, when you
why
talk
didn't
about
we
the other
hire a
things, what are those
foreman?
other things? Can you elaborate on that? Oh, sorry.
Debbie's,
I mean, this isn't the.
Debbie's got the floor, then Yolanda, then Tony.
So then if we're needing monies in other places, then why are we moving forward with this? What, and we didn't still get the answer, what are the things you need Dennis to do? Because I didn't, I could be misunderstanding and not remembering what in the interview process said, you know, you needed him for this, and this. I'm not.
Yeah, we need to completely overhaul our safety program in the Public Works Department. We need new policies and procedures. We need a capital improvement plan for our streets to address some of the things that Councilman Jackson's talking about. And we need someone to be the point of contact for vendors, get quotes. We're gonna have a lean department in terms of staffing, which I know for the past couple of years, especially in the dysfunction, we have had an extremely lean department, but we've also had less than superior services. So if we're gonna have a lean department, we're gonna need to rely on vendors, and so we need someone to do those things. You know, and trust me, there's plenty of work in the day, and when the office work runs out, Dennis isn't, well, to my experience, you're not afraid to get out there and help the crew, so.
I just needed a better understanding with.
Okay, Yolanda, you're up.
So is it possible for those things to adjust Dennis's schedule that he has 2 administrative days and 3 days in the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can effectively manage Dennis' schedules between Dennis and I. What I'm asking for the council is for some help, is to just a little extra money to have a lead foreman. That way that I don't have to worry about the guys on the street, making sure that they're being as effective as possible with their time and they're doing their job safely.
And I'll add to that, this is a working position. This guy is gonna be there, cutting grass, trimming, working, leading the crew. The applicants that we have are a higher skill set.
That
Yeah.
applying for the foreman
Yeah.
position.
Yeah. So Karen,
Can they use the, is it the saw that, is that the thing?
Chainsaw.
Chainsaw, yeah, thank you. Can the person we're gonna hire, are they able to do the chainsaw?
Yeah, well, and I mean, we've sent all of our guys to chainsaw training. Again, we only really plan to use it for trees that have already fallen and cleanup. But again, the supervisor, it's relatively small increase because it's not adding a position, but it should help with, one, the productivity of the other two people, and then just the safety and management of the entire crew.
And to add to that and address your question, even though our crew has had safety training, that's good, we like that. But there's an experience also. And we've got applicants that have extensive experience in landscaping, tree removal. We've got some good applicants for this position, some strong applicants.
Well, I appreciate the conversation. It just answers questions, gives me a depth of understanding why it's needed.
And I will say also, as far as the budget, we've got property for sale on Natural Bridge that the assets from that sale have not been built into this budget, so that'll help some. We've got also some automobiles, is that accurate? That those asset sales are not built into this?
So there's 35,000 in revenues from sale of assets. And I,
Of what assets?
yeah, that's primarily made up of sales of automobiles, like you were talking about. So it is built in, but again,
But the real estate has not been built.
but the real estate
This
is
is
not,
built in.
because
Yeah.
I don't have any information on the
No,
building.
that's why it's not in the budget, but we
Okay.
anticipate selling it this year.
I just have no
And
clue
that'll
on
offset
how much.
some of this, yeah. And I will tell you, I would think that's gonna be north of $30,000. It's a commercial property on Natural Bridge, so what we've been getting on some of these other houses has been always higher than I anticipated, so.
There's a couple properties on Natural Bridge.
And,
So,
Hang on, David's up.
sorry.
just for perspective's sake, my thinking is, you know, we have Dennis as Director of Public Works, where it's mostly supposed to be administrative and, you know, spearheading everything else. What we did not have in our previous Director of Public Works, for instance, was that administrative level work, right? We had someone who had the title, but that they were functioning more as a foreman instead,
Yeah.
right?
Or liaison.
Right, serving, doing the direct work themselves. But now we're trying to get back to a better balance, even with one less labor overall than we had a year and a half ago, for instance. So we're making cuts. It was just, it's not ideal. It's not ideal for anybody, for any department, but everyone across the board is feeling the squeeze. And unless somebody's gonna be putting their boots on and getting out and helping the crew, which I have yet to do myself either. We
Well,
can't really expect.
it's
the
not
work.
gonna happen. That would be an insurance nightmare.
Liability, I understand, right, but it would, that's something where we are supposed to serve and we're supposed to look out for the big picture is, hey, in every single aspect, yes, compared to a laborer only, it's only $13,000, but from a administrative level, from a, I hate to use the word hierarchy, but from a hierarchy level, it's needed, especially if we're bringing in more skills to the process.
We also need to look out for the citizens too.
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
spending the
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
citizens' money, we're spending the citizens' money.
yes, sir. Agreed.
Did you have something else to add, Yolanda?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I have two questions. The first question is, will hiring a foreman at all offset in the future, like the insurance cost at all?
Yeah.
I mean, not directly, but I think definitely yes. If we have better safety practices, we will have less accidents. And I don't even mean serious accidents, I just mean, you know, someone's gotta go down to barn scare because they, you know,
Twisted an ankle.
yeah, twisted an ankle or something. That stuff adds up, so I do think this is a decision that will lead to less claims, less loss, and a better, what in workers' comp is called an EMOD rating, which is basically just a number that rates your loss history, whether you have lots of losses for the size of your department, or if you have relatively few losses compared to other other cities or other organizations.
The second question is, can we possibly get a guarantee that the monies that we accrue from the property and from the car sales are guaranteed to be earmarked for this position and to offset the cost?
Well, it's just all one pot of money.
Right.
So, we could earmark it when we sell it, but I don't see the value in doing so. If we had a balanced budget and it was a new sale and a new idea, then you could see it like that on the margin, but I don't see the value of doing so.
I mean, any line item added to this budget would be a budget amendment addressed and voted on by the council, so you can't take that money and just spend it on something. It would go toward the line items that are in this budget right now.
But did I read correctly?
I guess part,
That balanced in this coming budget, the new budget?
Yeah, there's a deficit. Now, the deficit is not more than I think the legal term is unencumbered balance, basically more than reserves. So, I mean, we have the money for it. It's just, we're spending, I think it's, let me get the exact number here. Yeah, $50,722 more than we are bringing in this fiscal year.
So then,
So it's
are
around
we gonna use the cell tower monies? Where are we gonna get that money then?
Well, we're anticipating the sale of some assets to cover that. And it is a lot of money, and this is an unusual year. I think it's reasonable, more than reasonable, to believe that this insurance situation in a year's time is gonna change significantly. As much as $200,000 to $250,000. This was a kick in the pants at the last minute without a lot of time to do anything about it. But we're gonna be out shopping, and there's already reason to believe that number will, for next year, be reduced substantially.
So we have to put up with them coming in at the last minute with their premium. How is that fair?
No,
That's
that's
fair.
what they do.
That's a business.
I mean, they wait till last minute, renewal time, right?
They don't work on our behalf. That's their business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on our budget? We have a motion.
So.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
So what was that number again? The deficit?
50,000.
53,000?
Yeah, it's on page 13 of the budget.
Yeah.
And it's $50,722. Again, that's compared to a budgeted surplus from last year, $500,000. And it amounts to just over 1% of the budget, the total budget. So-
Okay,
so-
so, but we don't have that money from last year.
No, because the premiums went up, right?
Those are uncertain.
So how are you rationalizing what you just said? I mean, so there's this additional money from last year. So where's that going
So,
towards this?
Are you on page 13 of the budget?
I'm not looking at it, I'm just.
Okay, let me see if I can maybe pull up on the screen here. But if you look at the budget in page 13, this is just kind of how fund balances work. So page 13 is the summary page of the budget. And so it goes through just by general category and on revenue, and then departments on expenditures, the total expenses. And you can see the total revenues, which is projected at about 4.6 million. And then just under 4.6 million, you got total expenditures just over 4.6 million. And a budgeted deficit, which means we're gonna, 50,000, so we're gonna spend 50,000 more than we're gonna make this year. But on the line item below that, you see the fund balance. So you'll see last year, we had a starting fund balance of 1.2 million. We had a budgeted surplus, and, it could potentially change depending on what the final financial statements, but if we just go off the budget, we had a budgeted surplus of 508,000. So our fund balance increased from 1.2 to 1.7. Now that we're budgeting a deficit, which we did in 2022 as well, our fund balance is going to go down from 1.7, $50,000. So, and that fund balance is basically, that is the number, that's the unencumbered balances. That's basically the fiscal net position of the general fund.
So the fund balance went up 500,000 last year. It's gonna go down 50,000 this year, less what we add to it from the sale of assets. And there's other numbers that aren't built in here. We anticipate a significant windfall from dissolving the TIF. And those numbers are unknown, but they're significant. And those aren't built in here either.
Those
So-
are 6 figures, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well into the.
Yeah, but they will probably go to the restricted funds, but I don't want to dive too much.
Yeah, let's, because
There's-
we don't have those dollars.
One other item in here, so a part of that fund balance, it's not all just one bank account, there's other things that make up the fund balance that are general fund. One of those is drug asset forfeitures, which we'll talk about a little bit later tonight with this DEA agreement. But those are monies that officers have seized from basically drug dealers. And then when they take them to court, the federal government will send the money back to the police department. And that goes into a separate bank account, and we have to spend that money on things. And like we did the flock cameras last year, right? You can't supplant your budget, but you have to basically supplement whatever you're doing in the police department. So 27, I believe it's about 27,000 of that $50,000 is spending drug money in a bank account that we have, it's a balance that we've been holding on to. And basically, we're ready to spend that money. So even if I, presenting a balanced budget to you guys, there would still be $27,000 in there that we'd be spending because we plan on spending that money, and it's not like we can just keep it in the bank for a rainy day, because we have to spend it to supplement the police department. So that's just a slight note. So some of that money would reflect as a deficit either way.
Understood?
Thank you. Good conversation.
All right. If everybody's satisfied that their questions are answered, we have a first and we have a second to adopt Bill 23-18. Can I have a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
No.
Councilman Evans,
Nope. Nope.
Councilman Hong,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso,
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell,
No.
Mayor Beckman.
It's not tied.
Oh,
It's 4-3.
No, it's 4-3. I got it.
Motion carries.
Right.
Bill 23-18 is adopted as ordinance 793. Moving on. A resolution 23-33, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the Chief of Police entering an agreement with the United States Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration. I will let Chief Sanders explain what we're doing with resolution 23-33.
My hopes is that the council will approve me to engage in the contract with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration Agency to detach the officer that is responsible for the vast majority of the seizure money that you guys see sitting in the drug forfeiture account, Sergeant Gary. He has 23 plus years in law enforcement experience. The majority of his time he's been detached to DEA previously with a previous police department that he worked for before he came to Normandy. The $164,000 that he was able to seize, or the great majority of that portion he was able to seize, he did right here in Normandy. We think that he would be of much greater value detached to the DEA on a 13-man team where they actually expound out in the entire St. Louis regional area. They work together as a team to apprehend and bring drug dealers and offenders to justice. They seize vehicles, homes, vehicles, homes, cash seizures, and then what they do is at the end of the seizure, they break the money out between the 13 people on the team. So we would see an influx of revenue because it's all of the cases that they're working on throughout the metropolitan region and not just limiting him to be able to use his skill set here in the city limits of Normandy. We intend to pay his salary for the first year, and the contract is going to be a 1-year contract and it's renewed every year. We intend to pay his salary this year with the assets that are sitting in that drug account, which is what Sam was speaking to. So there's no cost to the city, I would say, upfront. You're using the seizure money to buy him the vehicle. We use the seizure money to upfit the vehicle because that was what we needed to provide to him. We're using the seizure money that exists now to pay his salary for 1 year. And so in hopes that 1 year will turn the benefits back to us as a revenue generating source. We're just trying to find all kinds of revenue generating sources to do what Councilman Jackson was saying, find ways to bolster the budget and find ways to bring things into the city that actually bring value. We would not be getting any cars, we wouldn't get any homes, we don't get anything into the sale of those assets, but when they do, they're uploaded into the SAM.gov DOJ account, and then they're able for the city to draw down those funds. We have to keep a record of all DOJ funds that we spend for 5 years. They can come in at any time and inspect our records to make sure we're spending it on line approved items, but the good thing is we can use that to enhance the revenues coming in. My hopes is that this is a success. Next year, or maybe even at the midway point, I'd like to detach someone to the Department of Homeland Security as well. Their seizures are coming in well over $300,000 for police departments right now. So that's crucial revenue that we can use when we're losing manpower here in our budget to bring that manpower back and continue to put people out there doing the things that we do, like answering the calls for service, traffic enforcement. It'll pay for additional positions at the police department where the city won't necessarily have to fund.
Thank you.
So only secondarily related, because you brought it up, Homeland Security, would that be mostly through the airport, or is that also throughout the metropolitan area?
It's throughout the entire metropolitan area. HSI actually works with the postal inspectors, and they're seizing stuff out of the mail too. So when you start getting into mail and things that are being shipped, that's where they're getting the influx, because now with the legalization of marijuana, there's a lot of drugs that are moving through the mail and things like that, so their seizures are they're out of control. Like I was saying, there was a police department, we actually just missed out by not having our officer detached. The team that's out there right now that was working, that Gary would have been a part of, every police department got $330,000 from their last seizure. So, we just missed.
Homeland Security, that's not in this, right?
That's not it.
No,
Right,
this is
so,
just
Yeah,
DEA.
let's talk about.
Yeah.
this.
No, I'm saying the DEA seizure that
Not
they
you.
Oh,
I'm
the
just
DEA,
saying.
yeah, the DEA seizure that they just missed out on.
Yeah.
He told me, Chief, if I had been on that team, we'd have $300,000 coming in. I was like, oh,
Okay.
can't we say you were there last week?
So let me ask you a question. Did we have someone detached last year? Or
No,
this year?
No,
we haven't had anybody detached since 2014 or 15, and we were using our people down at the FBI on the wiretaps and stuff. The FBI stopped doing asset forfeitures and paying money. They'll pay for cars, so if we wanted to get like cars, the DA would give us cars, but we'd have to put our people down there, and I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. We're looking for money.
We were so short-staffed that it wasn't an option for us, yeah.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-33?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
A second.
Any other comment or questions? Oh, go ahead, David.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, thank you to Chief and to Officer Gary specifically for the work that has been done thus far. I know it can't be an easy thing, but, I'm faced with a somewhat of an ethical dilemma for drug forfeiture money, but, if we're putting it to good use, that's okay.
We have a first, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, resolution 23-33 is adopted.
Good luck, Chief.
Thank you, guys.
Well, this one's numbered the same, Sam, so is this 23-34
This is
then?
2334.
Thank you. Resolution 23-34, resolution.
Travelers.
I'm sorry?
You said travelers
Uh,
insurance for.
Yes.
Mr.
A resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Traveler Insurance Company for a workers' compensation policy. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-34?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions?
So give us some backstory.
Yeah, well, this is, before the MOPERM insurance, we were talking about workers' comp insurance, and Indian dropped us earlier this year, and they did give us good notice about that. That was in July. And since then, our broker with Partner Insurance has been working to move us to a new carrier, and it's not just the loss history, also in insurance, we're experiencing what's called a hard market. So basically, insurance companies don't want to insure anybody, and they don't want to pay anything. And I've been told it's due to the hurricanes and stuff that have been happening. It's stuff way outside of our control. And when you mix that with the bad loss history like we have, we're really in a tough scenario. So we had to move to what's called the residual market, and basically there's a 25% markup on what you would have had on the residual market. And the reason why there's a resolution tonight is because we need authority to enter into an agreement for the policy. But this is the workers' comp, and it actually came in a little bit lower than what we were expecting with the budget. So
you were kind of, you didn't have a whole lot of choice
yeah,
because of our history.
yeah.
And so you showed, looking at other companies, you felt Travelers would be the,
No, the residual market is when no one else will take you.
oh,
They take you, but they mark it up.
oh,
Workers' comp is very regulated. So basically, they have a state bid, and so they are the designated residual market carrier for Missouri, is my understanding, at least. And this is it. So.
All right.
well, we have no choice.
And I'll tell you, besides the 25% markup, some of these class ratings, and I don't want to get too far into it, they are actually better than the carrier that we had. So, I mean, obviously more expensive because of the residual market markup. That's that ARAP modification program on line item on the quote. But the class rating, which kind of defines the base premium, wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So.
Any other questions? Sam, you've got your first and second, correct?
Yes.
All in favor of adopting resolution number 23-34?
Make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 23-34 is adopted. We'd already, Karen had it
So
first.
that was, that was the insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayor?
Yes.
So, Sam is right, I apologize, I didn't catch this at first. So, the, under 77-105, the budget shall be approved by an ordinance that is approved by a majority of all members of the governing body. We only have 4 members approved, because we're missing Councilman Nelson. So, I do think if we count the abstention as, I mean, it can just be counted.
So you still need my vote?
I still think we need a tiebreaker, yes.
All right. Let me go to the, way back.
No, I'm fine.
And I can't find it. Give me a bill number, please.
Council,
2318.
2318. On adopting Bill 2318, I vote yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Good catch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
kinda important.
Yeah, I thought it was the majority.
All right. Moving on to a conversation about the speed bump slash beat speed hump question. And what we want and how many dollars do we have. We've got, I think in the budget, $5,000 dedicated to it. I'll confirm that in a minute.
That's it.
And is this report from Dennis? Sir?
Yes. So Sam, is that
Very
accurate?
thorough.
So,
Well, I think it's important to mention that anticipated windfall
Say it
for
from the beginning.
Right, Tim.
Public Works, I mean, not Public Works, for the city, even though those funds are going to dedicated funds, restricted funds, they are dollars that are gonna help us out a lot. But right now, in the budget, how much money do we have dedicated for speed bumps?
$5,000.
so
Which is not a lot of
How
money.
many can we get with $5,000?
3.5,
How much are they?
3.5.
Well, so that's the other thing, so I wanna talk about, you know, what kind of bumps or speed humps. If there's a quantity versus quality, kind of conversation that needs to happen, and then there's a location based off of how many sites that we want. And, but, yeah, and to be clear, the 5,000 was out of the capital improvement fund, so we're not talking about the $50,000 deficit. We're talking, out of a restricted fund.
Well, how about this? Can we just, start pricing some to see what we want? What we want, the humps, the bumps, where we can get more, oh, it's in there?
It's in
Yeah,
here.
1,000.
It's a very thorough report.
Right there.
It is
You
here.
can take
But Sam, didn't you
Okay.
mention that someone was gonna go around and assess, where they may be needed as more information for us when we decide? Some professional was gonna.
I think
go-
that's the street assessment, that is not gonna have to do with speed bumps. I think that's what you're talking about.
Well, I thought it was for speed bumps and location.
Now,
I could have
Sorry.
misunderstood.
Go ahead, Karen.
I'm just trying to be in compliance here. So we only have $5,000 when we need 18 speed humps in there? You know?
well, that's what I was gonna bring up, the council members from Ward 1 brought me 18 possible locations.
And add on to 4-3.
And in Ward 4, there's 3 requests for speed bumps. Is that on Normandy Place and then?
Yes, yeah.
If I might.
Mm.
Yeah, no, please, I would love to hear your input.
Thank you. If anybody is interested, I think that if people have a list of places they'd like
Hang on.
these devices to go in, what we can do is the same thing we do with speeding complaints. We can put an officer out there and do a traffic survey of the speeds in those areas, and we can determine the areas that have the highest speeds and then present a report back to you guys with the places where, especially if the quantity is limited, where you'll make the most impact most immediately.
Which is Dalewood, where the bus school stop is at. That's where everybody speaks.
There's a lot,
But then there's a second
Well, we
set
can
of
put it-
eyes.
and we can give you a comprehensive report. We'll do the traffic. Yes, ma'am.
So, like, the longest streets in Ward 1, those are like, well, I can't say the longest
The
streets.
Dartmoor, Ellingtons, Paddingtons.
No, the long, Portchester,
Barchester's the one that they kind of ramp up a little bit.
Portchester, what's the other, Winchelsea, and Holborn.
Yeah, the problem is they've been going in late in the evening. The only thing I'd request is I think that would be good if we could just get an unmarked car possibly. Cause if they see lights, they're not gonna run like that. For the very first time Monday, I seen them race 2 in a row. Going
Side by
up,
side.
side by side, going up Lanford at
Did y'all
12:15 at night. By the time I would've called, they would've been,
But if we get a vehicle description and we're able to determine they live in the community, like the one that speeds on Councilman Evans Street, we'll go knock on their door.
well, if I I could get you any info, I'll get it.
Please do.
That's
I just threw that out there if there's an interest, you can send me the locations and we
But they
can,
speed, they speed on each street, cause I
we can
sit there
give
and
it
watch.
a lot of merit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think the bottom line is, we've got obviously far more requests than what we're gonna have money to do. So, the last page of this report is cost, options. But what's not included there, can you help us, Dennis? Every one of those is you required to put up a speed bump sign to warn people there's a speed
Yeah,
bump.
and actually, that's built into the.
Oh, good,
It's-
thank you,
it's in
that's
there.
He's
helpful,
got it on, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's about $200.
Oh, I see it.
For
I
the
got you.
post and the sign.
Yeah, because
Dennis, could you, this is really thorough, but verbally, with you more familiar with this, which would you think would be the best choice for us?
The asphalt is gonna be the best bang for the dollar.
Yeah.
And it's alternative what, 1, 2, 3, or 4?
It's actually, it's the one that, before I broke down all the rubber ones and the metal ones, I recommended asphalt in there. And I just know they're gonna be between $500 and $2,000 a piece. I know it's a big spread, but until I get an asphalt company out there to actually tell me, and we have to decide if we want a hump or a bump. Does it wanna be 2 inches high, 3 inches high, 6 inches wide, 10 inches wide? What exactly do you want? How slow do you wanna slow them down? And that's gonna impact the cost of the hump.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to see, get a couple of them. Let's get 2 down, and then we'll have, let's prioritize 2 spots where we need these, put a couple in. Will they do a couple without,
I'm sure they will. Councilman Cleveland actually, Councilwoman Cleveland, there's a subdivision that she mentioned, it's not in Normandy, that,
Yes.
what's that one called over there?
City of Norwood.
City of Norwood Court.
Yes.
They have them throughout their city, and that would be the kind, if you wanna go look at what I think would be best for us, those are perfect.
Yes, they
I mean,
are.
they're a hump, they're not too big, but you can't drive through that subdivision without
Turn that
every,
corner.
I don't know, every 500 yards maybe, and slow down.
Just to let everyone know, the current ones that were speed bumps, they lasted 15 to 20 years. If you get these plastic rubber ones that are recycled, in about 3 or 4 years, you're gonna be presented again with this kind of money.
But so we're gonna go with what Dennis is saying with the.
He made the recommendation of asphalt.
the asphalt.
the-
And then
but
every couple of
simply-
years, you just top it off.
Right.
Yeah, you'll probably wanna paint them every year,
Yeah.
to make sure
Right.
they're yellow,
Yeah.
to make sure our liability is reduced as much as possible.
Yeah.
Is that
But-
cost down here?
The paint's in there too.
The asphalt money?
It's $60 a gallon for the paint.
No, it's asphalt,
The
speed
asphalt.
bumps.
Speed bump.
Yeah, it's
That
the,
price, it's that wide range, 500 to 2,000.
Oh,
it depends on how many you get, where they're going.
Oh,
Can we just wait and get more information on that?
Yeah, I was hoping to have it, St. Louis Paving was supposed to give me a price by the end of the day today, and the project person didn't get back.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what-
that's what I wanna know, where do we
Can
go from this
table
point
it and then
forward?
come back to this?
When we have more
Well,
information,
information, yeah.
if the council's
I
satisfied with
wanna
that.
clarify, so we're gonna have the police go around town, we're gonna send, Chief, Sanders, the locations. Then we're going to, determine the height, the length, of the ones that, we're gonna discuss what she's bringing back to us, and then determine what kind, and then how many.
And I appreciate that approach.
Yeah.
I think we know that Parchester's a problem and Bellwood's a problem. I mean,
They do donuts on my street.
Yeah.
also.
They do donuts on my street.
yeah, I mean, from the complaints we've gotten from residents, we have some priorities pretty well established.
I see.
Just wait.
All right,
So did we, is there any consensus on the hump versus the bump? I'm sorry if I missed that.
We're talking about it once we
The
get
bump
more
is
information.
designed to bring you to more like a 5 mph, almost a complete stop, whereas the hump you can actually go over at a distance.
I would be
Complete
more in
stop.
favor of the humps myself.
Whatever Dennis said, I like those.
Well,
please
didn't you
stop.
say less, damage on the cars and less liability for the lower
hump is gonna
ones?
be the hump is gonna give us the least amount of liability.
What about the police cars? Well,
Yeah.
Well, we're
Chief.
tabling it, so
Yeah,
can we discuss
Yeah, we can
this?
discuss
Yeah.
this another day.
It's gonna
We're gonna
take-
table it.
Well, let's get some more information then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
all right. Any other business to discuss? Is there a motion to adjourn?
No, hold on. There's a closed session on the
Yeah,
agenda.
we need to.
Very quick.
Very quick.
Should be.
Can we welcome the
Page.
two citizens that are on Zoom with us?
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal issue?
So moved.
Is there a second?
a second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilman Hong,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay.
I'm not leaving. I gotta set up for Emily.